will be discussing about defective contracts. Now, under the law, when we say defective contracts, this is classified into two kinds of defective contract. One are those refers to defective contracts which are curable or with legal effects, meaning even if there is a defect on the contract, it still can have a legal effect, or it can still produce a legal effect. And then the other kind is those defective contracts which cannot be cured or which produces no legal effect at all. Based on law, there are four kinds of defective contracts. One is recessible contract, second is voidable contract, third is unenforceable contract, and then fourth is void or inexistent contract. Now, out of these four kinds of contract, the first three kinds of contract falls under what we call as the defective contracts but has a legal effect, okay, or a curable defective contract. While the last one, or void or inexistent contract, is those which is classified as defective contracts which cannot be cured or produces no legal effect. Okay? So those are the first classifications of the different kinds of defective contract. Now, let's start with recessible contract. If you remember, the word recession means cancellation. Okay? So here, the contract has already reached the perfection stage, but one or more or both parties have given the right to cancel or the right to rescind the contract, because there is a ground for recession or there is a ground for cancellation of a contract. So recessible contract is defined by law as those contracts which are valid because all of the essential requisites of a contract exist, meaning the three essential requisites are present, but by reason of economic injury or damage to one of the parties or to third persons such as the creditors, the contract may be rescinded, or the contract may be annulled, or the contract may be cancelled. So that's the legal definition of a recessible contract. So when we say again rescission, it is a remedy granted by law to the injured parties or to the party who is injured by reason of the defect of the essential requisite of a contract. Okay? Una siyang recession. Simply stated, recession means cancellation of the contract. Like for example, a contract of sale entered into by a minor which do not fall under exception, since minority constitute as a vice of consent. Therefore, the essential requisite of the contract or the essential requisites of the contract is defective. Since it is defective, it will result now into a voidable contract, not recessible contract. Okay? So, in cases of voidable contract, the other party has the opportunity, or the minor or the representative of the minor has the opportunity to cancel the contract. Okay? So that's one of the defective contract. But let's go back first to recessible contract. In recessible contract, it's different. Here, the injured party suffers one, economic injury, or damage to one of the parties or third persons. That is why these parties are allowed for the rescission of the contract or the cancellation of the contract. Okay? So what is the effect? Therefore, if the party chooses to rescind or avails the remedy of recession, here both parties will be restored to their status prior to when they entered into a contract. So if someone received money by reason of the contract and the contract is a recessible contract, the money will be ordered to return to the other party because they will be restored of their things, their status, and their condition prior to when they entered into a contract. So that's the nature of a recessible contract. So, when can a recessible contract arise? So there are 5 instances wherein these kinds of agreements will result into a recessible contract. This is found under slides number 130 and slide number 131. First, those which are entered into by guardians in behalf of the wards whom suffer lesion by more than 1/4 of the value of the thing which are the object thereof. So like for example, when the guardian sells a property of the ward, when you say ward, katong gibantayan sa guardian, like a minor. A minor has a property, na lugar sakyanan ang minor. Or na siya yuta or house and lot. Oh. What instances can a minor owns a house and lot? No pa siya pangita, like for example, his father or his parents. The parents of the minor died. So necessarily the minor will acquire the properties. So it is now the minor who will own the properties. Now, since he is still a minor, the court will appoint a guardian to his properties. Okay? Ang presumption na if minor pa ka, dili pa ka kabalo, mubantay sa imong kaugalingon or mubantay sa imong properties. That's why a guardian will be appointed to you. The minor is called as the ward. Now, if the guardian sells the property at a very low price, okay? At a very low price, meaning si minor magsuffer og 1/4, more than 1/4 of the value of the thing. Okay? Tungod sa pagbaligya sa guardian, it will result now into a recessible contract. But pasabot ang contract na na-create na valid. But doon ay option ng minor nga ipa-cancel to ang contract nga naman because the minor suffered an economic injury which is more than 1/4 of the value of the thing. So specific example, if the value of the car of the minor is 1 million pesos, gibaligya sa guardian og 700,000 pesos. Okay? So in this case, imbis unta makadawat og 1 million si minor, ang iyang nadawatan is only 700,000. Nagansi ba si minor? Yes, pilay gansi ni minor. That's 300,000 pesos. O question, is that more than 1/4? Pila may 1/4 sa 1 million? You have 250,000. Since ang gansi ni minor is 300,000, that's more than 1/4 of the value of the thing. So therefore, the contract of sale that is entered into by the guardian will be a recessible contract. Later on, the minor can question or can cancel the contract that is entered into by the guardian. Second recessible contract, those agreed upon in representation of an absentees in the latter, and the latter suffered lesion by more than 1/4 of the value of the thing which are the object thereof. Okay. Now, the difference between this second recessible contract as against the first recessible contract is only the subject of the contract. Ganina, minor ang subject. But in number 2, the subject is an absentee. And an absentee is a person who disappears from his domicile, his whereabouts unknown, and without leaving an agent to administer his properties. Ganina, sa number 1, minor ang tag-iya sa property. Sa number 2, ang tag-iya sa property, dili na minor, kundi absentee. Kinsa si absentee, katong nawala o kalit, niya wala siya nag-appoint kung kinsay manag-iya sa iya o kinsay manage sa iyang property. Okay? So that is an absentee. Kung ang iyang representative ibaligya ang iyang property wherein the absentee will also suffer more than 1/4 of the value of the property, then it will still result into a recessible contract. Just the same rule under the first recessible contract. And then third recessible contract, those which are undertaken in fraud of creditors. Okay. Meaning, ni-enter ka into contracts because you want to avoid your obligation towards your creditor. So, ma-prejudice si creditor. So, in this case, the law allows the creditor to meddle the contracts that you have entered into because they have suffered an injury. Okay? So, pananglitan, example, Juan borrowed money from Maria in the amount of 1 million pesos. Now, Maria, at the time that the obligation became due and demandable, wala ning bayad si Juan. Kaya iyang argument ngadto kay Maria is wala siya kwarta. However, Juan owns another property na siya sakyanan worth 2 million pesos. Okay. So ingon si Maria, wala naman kay kwarta, kana na lang imong sakyanan ang imong ibayad sa imong utang. So nahadlok si Juan nga kwaon ang iyang sakyanan. Ang gibuhat ni Juan is gibaligya niya ang property into other persons. Wala niya gipahibalo si Maria. Kasi may purpose yung pagbaligya para dili kwaon ni Maria ang sakyanan. So in other words, the contract of sale entered by Juan with another person was made in fraud of creditors para makaikyas siya sa iyang obligation towards the creditors. Okay? So here, the creditor Maria is given the right to ask for rescission, ipa-cancel. Kung sa may ipa-cancel Maria, ang contract between Juan and third person sa pagbaligya sa iyang sakyanan. Ngano man, because that contract was purposely made in order to defraud Maria. Okay? So therefore, the contract is a recessible contract at the option of Maria, who is the creditor. Here, there are requisites for the application of this rule. First, there must be an existing credit, and then there must also be fraud on the part of the debtor, and the creditor cannot recover his credit. Okay? So in our example, wala may makuha si Maria because wala siya kwarta katurang sakyanan. Unta ang property ni Juan, but then gibaligya pag yun ni Juan in fraud of Maria. So those three requisites are present in our example. Therefore, clearly, the contract entered by Juan with third person is a recessible contract. Fourth kind of recessible contract are contracts which refers to things under litigation without obtaining consent of the litigants or approval from the court. Okay. So here, the object of the contract involves a property which is still under litigation, meaning naa pa na siya sa korte, wala pa na determine ang status ana nga property. But then, one of the parties without consent of the court, walay panugot sa korte, iyang gihimo na siya into an object of another contract. What if ang korte mo ingon nga, huy, dili ikaw may tagiyana kung dili katong tao? Wala na, nabaligya na. Unsaon magkuha atong laing tao? So wala na siya maapas. So that's why the law says that if you're going to sell an object or a property which is under litigation, it is a recessible, it will result into a recessible contract wherein the other party can file for rescission of the contract you have entered. So that's the fourth kind of recessible contract. And then fifth kind of recessible contract are those payments which are made in state of insolvency whose fulfillment the debtor could not be compelled at the time they were affected. So here, the debtor, insolvent na si debtor, daghan siya og creditor. But then, kanyang gibuhat, gipili lang niya ang uban creditor nga mao'y unang bayran. So ang mahitabo, the law says, ang kaluoy pud nung uban creditor, kay dili na siya mabayran. Kay because if you are insolvent, you should have divide your properties para makover nimo tanan creditor. Wala kay authority nga ipangbayad, magpili kinsa nga creditor ang imong unahon because you are already insolvent. And when we say insolvent, meaning his assets is not anymore enough to cover his liabilities. Murag hapay na. So in that case, dapat bahin-bahinon niya ang iyang asset ngadto sa iyang mga creditors. Kung dili na niya buhaton, na iyang gi-prefer nga isa ka creditor, then the other creditors can have the right to rescind that contract under the rules on recessible contract. So those are the 5 different kinds of recessible contract. And the next defective contract is a voidable contract. Okay. Here, when we say voidable contract, it means these are kinds of contracts which is a valid and binding contract. However, the other party or the injured party has the right to annul by proper action in court. Okay? Oh. Kaning annulment of contract, it is just like rescission of contract also. Murag imong ipa-cancel, pawad-an nimo og legal effect ang contract. Okay? Voidable contracts are those which possess all the essential requisites of a valid contract, but one of the parties is incapable of giving consent, or consent is vitiated by mistake, violence, intimidation, undue influence, or fraud. Ingon niya diri, ang voidable contract, doon na siya 3 essential requisite. So meaning, naa siya consent, naa siya object, and naa siya cause. However, ang essential requisite diri is defective. Naa pero defective. Okay? Either because na ay vitiated ang consent or one of the parties is incapable of giving a consent. It will now result into a voidable contract. Okay? So, muna inyong bantayan, if there is an essential requisite, but the essential requisite is defective, it will result only into a voidable contract. However, if there is no essential requisite, meaning absence of either the consent, object, or consideration, it is not anymore a voidable contract, but rather it will be a void contract. There is a difference between a voidable and a void contract. Okay, the main difference there is that a voidable contract is a valid contract until it has been annulled by the party who has the right to annul the contract. While a void contract is a contract that has no legal effect. Kaya wala na nag-exist kung void contract. So that's the difference between the voidable and a void contract. So again, kanus aman mo exist ang voidable contract. Kanus aman hitabo ang voidable contract only in 2 instances. One, when one of the parties is incapable of giving consent. And then second, when the consent given is defective either by reason of devices of consent. Okay? Napugos lang og hatag sa consent, that's a defective consent. Pero kung wala gyud consent, absence na siya sa essential requisite, which is a void contract. Pero na ay consent but napugos lang, there is a vice of consent. And that is a defective consent. Defective consent means defective essential requisite. Therefore, it will result into a voidable contract. Okay? So remember that. A voidable contract is a valid contract until it is annulled by the party who has the right to cause for the annulment of the contract. And then we have another one is unenforceable contract. This is the third kind of defective contract. Now, unenforceable contract will arise in 3 instances. This is found under slide number 137. First, those entered into in the name of another by one without or acting in excess of authority. Okay? Nagrepresent ang isa ka tao on behalf of another tao, but wala dito siya authority atong another tao. It will result now into unenforceable contract. Unsa effect kung unenforceable contract? Dili nimo ma-enforce ang contract. Okay? Meaning dili nimo mahatagan og effect. Kay dili man nimo ma-enforce ang contract, it will not reach the consummation stage. Okay? Unless it is cured or unless the parties have ratified the contract. So example, si Juan na nag-iya og house and lot. Dayon si Pedro, gibaligya ni Pedro ang house and lot nga gipanagyaan ni Juan ngadto kay Maria. Ana si Pedro kay Maria, "Oy Maria, I'm going to sell this property." Okay? So naghimo sila deed of absolute sale. Si Maria dayon duol dayon kay Juan. Ingon sa Juan, gibaligya naman ning Pedro ang imong property, I will get it now. Oh. What is the nature of the contract between Pedro and Maria? Since Pedro entered into a contract without the authority of Maria, who is the real owner of the thing, and in representation of Maria, wala man siya authority, then the contract is an enforceable contract. Can Maria demand for the delivery of the house and lot? No, because you cannot enforce the contract. So that's the first kind of unenforceable contract. Second kind of unenforceable contract, those that do not comply with the statute of frauds. Ang sabing statute of frauds, kaning statute of frauds, usa ni siya kabalao, this is a law that requires something must be in writing if you enter into this kind of agreement, meaning statute of frauds. This is enumerated under slide number 137. Ingon niya, if the agreement is to be performed within 1 year from the making thereof, meaning nagsabot mo, pero inyo pa na siyang i-perform 1 year after pa, it is required that it must be in writing. Okay? Promise to answer for the debt, default, or miscarriage of another. Ingon ka, ikaw mo bayad sa utang sa imong amiga. Ikaw mo bayad sa pag-default sa imong amiga. Okay? It is required that the agreement must be in writing. Agreement in consideration of marriage other than the mutual promise to marry. Kung mag-agree ka in consideration of marriage, like for example, pre-nuptial agreement. Ang pre-nuptial agreement, it is required that it must be in writing. Agreement for the sale of goods at a price not less than 500 pesos. The agreement must be in writing. Agreement for leasing for a longer period than 1 year. It is also required that it must be in writing. Agreement for the sale of real property or any interest therein. Sale of a house and lot. It is required that it must be in writing. Representation as to the credit of third person. It must also be in writing. So in all of these instances, what is the effect if dili siya in writing? It means that all of your agreements will be unenforceable. Why is it unenforceable? Because there is now a violation of the statute of frauds. You have not complied with the requirements under the statute of fraud. Because of that, you cannot give effect. You cannot enforce your agreement. You have to comply first with the statute of fraud before you can enforce your agreement. And then third, unenforceable contract are those where both parties are incapable of giving consent. Here, both parties are incapable of giving consent, meaning duha ka parties minor or incapacitated. So it will result into unenforceable contract. What if isa lang ka party ang incapacitated? Then the law says it will only be a voidable contract. Okay? Remember that. If only one party is incapacitated, only one party is a minor, it will result into a voidable contract. If both parties or all of the parties in a contract are incapable of giving consent, then it will result into an unenforceable contract. So those are the three kinds of unenforceable contract. And then the last kind of defective contract is a void or inexistent contract. Now, what do you mean by void or inexistent contract? These are contracts which, because of certain defects, generally produces no effect at all. They are considered inexistent from the beginning. I have mentioned to you that the main reason why a contract will be deemed void or will be considered void is that when the contract has no essential requisite. Pag absence of essential requisite gani, automatic na siya, the contract is a void or inexistent contract. Meaning there is no consent. Either of the parties did not give a consent. There is no object of the contract. There is no cause or consideration of the contract. It will result into a void contract. And as what I have told you earlier, a void contract has no legal effect. It produces no effect at all. Why is that so? Because a void contract simply does not exist. We consider that as a contract that do not exist. So all other kinds of contract can be ratified, meaning magkatagaan mo effect later on if the party wishes to ratify those contract. However, if it is a void contract, you cannot give effect to it. Why? Because in the beginning, the contract does not exist at all. So you cannot give effect to a thing which do not exist. So, void contract cannot in any way be ratified. Okay? So those are the 4 kinds of defective contracts. So characteristic of a defect of a void contract: you have generally produces no effect whatsoever, cannot be ratified, the action or defense for the declaration of its nullity does not prescribe, and cannot give rise to a valid contract. So in slide 140, I have enumerated there, I made there a table regarding the effects of defective contracts. Okay, the effects of defective contracts, including the nature, prescription, effectivity, and ratification. So you can use that as your reference. So all in all, those are the 4 defective contracts.